The First World of Dui, with the protagonist Qiandaoliu. This book is also known as Qiandaoliu Awakening Chronicle, or Qiandaoliu Inappropriate Person Chronicle. Those who are not suitable for others, those who kill and punish the heart are better, those who suffer for a long time are even more severe, and those who take their lives directly will be abandoned, which is not appropriate. Qian Daolu said. A gentleman, what kind of gentleman should you be? Showdown, I'm not a person. Haotian Sect, destroy you all. Reborn God King. Why has this world become so different? Keywords of the novel. All heavens. My thousand paths flowing, opening kills Haotian Sect without pop-up window, all heavens. My thousand paths flowing, opening kills Haotian Sect complete TXT collection download, all heavens. My thousand paths flowing, opening kills Haotian Sect latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. System Smashing Face, Seeking Follow-Up. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 System Smashing Face, Seeking Follow-Up. Wuhuan City, as night falls, there is no moon or stars, and it is pitch black. Only the stirring night wind, with a sense of sadness, blows through the entire city. Elder Hall. A man stands quietly in front of a 10-meter-tall six-winged angel sculpture made of pure gold. The man appeared to be only in his 30s or 40s, with a handsome appearance and a tall figure, but not strong enough. He was dressed in a simple white robe, with long golden hair scattered behind his head, neatly combed. Although his clothes were so simple, he just stood there, giving people a feeling of worship. At this moment, the man's brow furrowed tightly, and a hint of sadness could be seen in Junlang's face. He, Qiandao Lu, is one of the three unparalleled figures in Dolua continent, nicknamed Invincible Sky. His life can be described as Guangming Weizheng, but the only flaw is that he had a son named Qiang Sunji, who was known as Dolua in the Chamber of Secrets. He sometimes doubts whether Qianshuan Ji is his Qiandao Lu's son. But just yesterday, his useless son died. Killed by his disciple Bibidong. Bibidong took advantage of Chihiro's serious injury and devoured him, leaving no soul behind. Although his useless son once did something like that to Bibidong, he is ultimately his son of 1,000 streams. The three great sorrows of life. Loss of father in childhood, loss of spouse in middle age, and loss of son in old age. Among them, the loss of son in old age has been encountered by Qian Daolu. Fortunately, he has a genius granddaughter named Qian Renxue, with an innate soul power of 20 levels. Perhaps a god from his family can emerge in the future. Although his useless son died due to Bibidong, Tang Hao ultimately played a role in pushing the hand. Haotian Sect must pay a price for this. Since Tang Hao cannot be found, the Haotian Sect that nurtured Tang Hao is undoubtedly to blame. Moreover, the whole thing was originally Tang Hao's fault. Can a normal person fall in love with a grass? Soul beasts and humans are mortal enemies. A transformed soul beast entering the world is definitely a disaster for humans on the Dolua continent. Tang Riqian's love for a soul beast goes against ethical principles. Have your ancestors never killed soul beasts? Have your ancestors never been killed by soul beasts? What are you, not deceiving your teacher and destroying your ancestors? Maintaining the stability of Dolua continent society is the responsibility of the Martial Soul Hall. Although the Martial Soul Hall pursued Tang Hao out of selfishness, it can also be said that it acted on behalf of heaven. Just Tang Chen as one of the three limits of the Dolua continent, he could feel that Tang Chen was still alive, somewhere in the Dolua continent. Qian Daoliu's gaze showed a sense of vicissitudes. If I take action against Haotian Sect, Tang Chen, will you come out? Jie jie jie. A strange laughter suddenly appeared, every tone and character sounded so penetrating. At this moment, the originally solemn atmosphere turned somewhat eerie. Who? Qian Daolu frowned slightly. As a level 99 extreme Dolua, no one can easily enter his close range, but he cannot detect it. This person is definitely not easy. Jie jie jie. It was this voice again, but the person didn't pay attention to Qian at all. Instead, he thought to himself, system, can I occupy his body as long as I get close to Qian? No one answered him, but the voice still echoed in the elders' hall. I didn't expect Tang Si to be able to cross the Dolua continent. I admire San Guai, the person I will follow for a lifetime. I'm here. As soon as the words fell, a black figure suddenly appeared in the elders' hall. This figure flickers and seems to dissipate in the next moment. That's right, this is a soul from a different world, from the Blue Star Xia Kingdom, male, named Tang Si. Just now, he was online chatting with Dolua Continent's little black boy, but he didn't expect the other party to say he was the third filial son. Suddenly, a sense of honor filled my heart. I didn't expect him to be admitted by the other party, and I didn't expect the other party to praise me so much. It seems that there are not all keyboard warriors online. As a gentleman who is on par with Sanjia, he decided to forgive this person for his previous offense on behalf of Sanjia. However, just because he was just and kind, he choked to death after taking a sip of water. Unexpectedly, after his death, he encountered a system. This system tells him that it will take him to Dolua Continent and help him dominate the world in Dolua Continent. This made him ecstatic. It was his honor to see his 3 cuts and learn from his noble spirit. So, he chose to let the system take him to the time when Sanjia was just born, and he wanted to watch his Sanjia grow. He wants to occupy the body of the angel worshipped by Qian, utilize the energy of the martial soul hall, silently guard his Sanku behind the scenes, watch his Sanku fall in love with Xiaowu, and save Xiaowu's mother. Thinking about it, his face visibly became ferocious. Even though he is only a soul that can be extinguished at the touch, it is clear how ill-intentioned he is now. Xian Daolu, you coward and useless, go to hell as soon as possible and let me pave the way for my 3 cuts. The next moment, he twisted his butt and stared straight at Xian Daolu, drifting towards him. Xian Daolu just looked at this soul with vigilance, not even moving a step. How did this soul, so weak, say the big phrase, occupying my body? Although he may not understand some of this person's words, the soul in front of him is malicious. With a movement of his mind, a golden light spurted out of his pupils, mobilizing some of his spiritual energy and probing towards Tang Si not far away. He is a cautious person, although Tang Si's soul may seem weak, being a little cautious is always right. Tang Si naturally noticed the movements of Qian Daolu and couldn't help but sneer, "Cut, young master is also a systematic person. He is just an extreme Dolua, can you help me?" Before he could finish speaking, his soul began to shake violently. A blazing force swept through the body, a golden flame burning inside, and the black soul was dyed golden. In just a few seconds, his soul structure was completely destroyed. Ah. His soul was directly impacted, and this pain was unbearable for ordinary people, let alone an ordinary otaku. No, that's not right, why? System. What about my system? System. He shouted wildly in his heart, but there was no response. He hasn't seen his 3rd cut yet, he can't die, he doesn't want to die. System, you're lying to me. Finally, he uttered his last words before ascending to heaven. Dead. Xian Daolu frowned slightly, did he die so easily? At this moment, a voice appeared in his mind. Ding, suitable host detected, system binding. Ding, the system has been bound. The system is dedicated to serving you. Ding, detected soul fragments in nearby space, soul fragments are being absorbed. Newcomer's new book, Seeking Support, end of this chapter. Chapter 2. Inappropriate Person System instigates 1,000 streams of incompetence in personnel matters. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Inappropriate Person System instigates 1,000 streams of incompetence in personnel matters. As soon as the mechanical electronic sound fell, a powerful wave of information flooded into the mind of Chen Daolu. He had a splitting headache after receiving a large amount of memory in a short period of time. Fortunately, in just an instant, the painful feeling quickly faded away, and he fully accepted this memory. In this memory, he saw a person's life. This person's name is Tang Hao, male in gender, from a world called Blue Star Xia Kingdom. What shocked him the most was that the Dolua continent he was in was actually a world in books. The title of this book is Dolua Continent, and the protagonist is Tang San. A soul from a different world travels to Dolua Continent, where he and his 6 companions punish and eradicate evil, uphold justice, and ultimately eliminate the evil villain Wuhuan Temple. And I am a cannon fodder male supporting member of the major villain Martial Soul Hall. My final ending is to offer sacrifices to my filial granddaughter Qian Rengshu, who has become the god of angels. But what did Qianren Shui do? He repeatedly released the enemy Tang San, even falling in love with him. In the end, his divine position was shattered, and his mother Bibi Dong died to save him. And his painstaking martial soul palace was destroyed by Tang San, who was just and kind. In the heart of Qian Dao Lu, Qianren Shui is the first. She is the only genius in 1,000 years with an innate soul power of level 20, and there is a great possibility of inheriting the angel god in the future. She is the only hope for the descendants of angels. But now someone is telling you that your hope and the future of your family will definitely be destroyed. How could that be? 1,000 streams caress my heart cannot remain calm for a long time. These memories cannot be true. But these memories are too real, as if he had personally experienced them. Although he has seen a lot and lived for 100 years, now his values have collapsed and reorganized again. Every time I think about the ending of Tang Xi's obedient granddaughter Qian Renxue and the martial soul hall, Qian Daoliu's heart begins to ache faintly. His beloved filial granddaughter, Xiaoxue, will shatter her divine position due to Tang San. He, who has always been calm and cautious, can't help but want to rush to Holy Soul Village and kill Tang San. Although these memories may be forged and may not develop like Tang Xi's memories in the future, what if? What happened today is already bizarre enough, so bizarre that he has to believe that these memories may be true. The future may really develop like this. Ding, host, this memory is real. What you see is another world, another person's life. There is no doubt that these things will really happen in the future. The system's words interrupted the flow of thoughts. At that moment, Chen Dao's voice trembled slightly as he regained his senses and said, "You're calling the system. What exactly is your purpose?" System, time travel, these words are all extremely unfamiliar to this indigenous person. But in Tang Xi's memory, the system seemed to be called some kind of golden finger, a cheat, and a standard accessory for travelers. Traversing seems to refer to moving from one world to another. After careful digestion, Qian Daolu roughly understood. The system may be a chance of its own. However, he is naturally cautious, and his heart is still full of vigilance. Not only that, in Tang Xi's memory, there are also many systems that harm the host. So, is this system an enemy? Is it a friend? It seems that he heard the voice of Qian Daoliu, and the system's voice rang out in his mind. Ding, the host Qian Daoliu, this system will strictly follow the system rules and will not attack the host. On the contrary, this system can be said to be here to help the host. To dispel the host's doubts, the host can ask questions at will. This system will provide appropriate explanations for the host's questions and distribute a beginner's gift package. Ding, the newbie gift package is being distributed. Ding, the beginner's gift package has been distributed, rewarding the host system with 1 space. There is also one advanced lottery opportunity, with 10,000 points. Reminder. The lottery opportunity is divided into 5 classes. First-class divine level lottery allows you to draw divine level items with 500,000 points per draw. Second-class super lottery, where you can draw super items and earn 50,000 points once. Third-class advanced lottery allows you to draw advanced items with 5,000 points per draw. Fourth-class mid-level lucky draw, can draw intermediate items, 500 points per draw. Fifth-class low level lottery, where low-level items can be drawn with 50 points per draw. There is a certain probability that different levels of lottery can draw items of corresponding levels system space. Lucky draw opportunities. Integral. Chen Daoliu's attention was drawn here. These words are extremely unfamiliar to him. After flipping through Tang Xi's memories, Chen Daolu finally understood roughly what these things were. Since that's the case, let me try what kind of divine this system is. Chen Daoliu's adaptability to new things is not poor, and he quickly accepted the strange thing of the system. He whispered, "System, use the lottery opportunity." As soon as Chen Daoliu finished speaking, a colorful scroll wheel appeared in front of me. There was also a button below the scroll wheel, and there was a symbol of dot on the scroll wheel. Please press the button on the host to start the lottery. Without hesitation, Chen Daolu raised his hand and pressed the button. The colored roller starts to rotate at high speed, and the colored symbols on the roller flash rapidly. The speed of the roller went from slow to fast and then to slow in just a few seconds. Quickly, the scroll wheel froze and the sound of the system echoed in his mind. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining one of the 9-grade purple mushrooms. The 9-grade purple mushrooms have been automatically stored in the system space. As soon as the words fell, Chen Daolu felt a connection between himself and a space, where a jade box lay quietly. With a thought, the jade box appeared in Chen Daolu's palm. Chen Daolu knows that the 9th-grade purple mushroom is a kind of immortal herb that has the effects of consolidating the foundation, nourishing energy, and increasing power. It is very rare. If a waste of level 29 is allowed to eat, it may break through the bottleneck and enter the ranks of level 30. The division of herbs in Doloa continent is very vague, and a simple division was made in the work of the divine physician Yi Renshin, a complete collection of medicinal herbs. Herbs are divided into immortal herbs, spiritual herbs, and ordinary herbs. Among them, the 9th-grade purple mushroom ranks among the spiritual herbs. Opening the jade box, a pale purple herb appeared before my eyes. The top of the fairy grass is like a lid, but it is a lingji plant. Below it is a jade-like stem, with 9 leaves. It is indeed a 9th-grade purple mushroom. It seems that the system did not deceive itself, this system is really so magical. After a moment of contemplation, Chen Daolu did not let go of his probing thoughts and began to ask in his heart, "System, since you are here to help me, what price do I need to pay?" No profit comes early, no one will help you without reason, and the system is no exception. Ding, answer the host's question. The trading partner of this system is essentially the Doloa continent plane, not the host. Because the cost of this system's intervention in Doloa continent has been settled, the host does not need to pay any cost. This is also the luck of the Doloa continent plane. Encountering it, trading with it, and asking it to help the Doloa continent plane. Otherwise, the future of Doloa continent will fall into the hands of a man named Tang Junzi, and the consequences are unimaginable. Upon hearing this, Chen Daolu had already believed for a while, and the system's actions met the principle of profit. Moreover, the logical reasoning of the system is rigorous, coupled with the rewards given by the system, which has to make Chen Daolu believe it. System, what do I need to do? End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Extinguishing the Haotian Sect. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Extinguishing the Haotian Sect. Ding, as the saying goes, it is better for those who are not human, those who kill and punish the heart, those who suffer for a long time, and those who directly take their lives to part ways. It is not appropriate. The host only needs to target Tang San, the source of all evil in Dolua continent, and his companions around him without engaging in any human activities. The deeper the level of misconduct, the more points they will earn. Points can be exchanged for items in the system store, ranging from deities and immortal herbs to soul bones and soul rings. Divine Throne, Immortal Grass, Soul Ring and Soul Bone. Qian Daolu did not answer, but opened the system store, and a blue screen appeared in front of him, and finally began browsing. God-level products. Starting from 1,000,000 points, Divine Throne of Light, Divine King level. 5,000,000 points Dawn Sword, Divine King level. 5,000,000 points Super Product. Starting from 100,000 points, 100,000 Year Soul Bones. 100,000 points 100,000 Year Soul Ring. 100,000 points Premium Products, starting from 10,000 points, Intermediate Products, starting from 1,000 points, Low-Priced Products, starting with 1 point. The products in the system store are dazzling and dazzling. Especially the position of the God of Light, it instantly attracted the attention of thousands of streams. Isn't this divine position tailor-made for their 6-winged angel martial souls? At the sight of the points required for redemption, Qian Daolu's mind instantly fell silent. 5,000,000 points, even selling him wouldn't be worth it. He has to save up from his previous life to earn 5,000,000 points, right? Just. He always adheres to the spirit of chivalry, making him do nothing to Tang San. Is it not a violation of his moral principles? No, Tang San is just a child, but if he dares to do such a thing to Xiaoxue in the future, he will already be on his must-kill list. At this moment, the system that doesn't mind watching the excitement adds a spark. Ding, considering the host's personality is 2 gentlemen, the system will release 3 beginner tasks as guidance. Ding, the beginner guidance task has been released. The first beginner guidance task is to destroy or conquer the Haotian Sect and its affiliated powers. Haotian Sect and Martial Soul Hall are destined to be hostile. Either don't take action, or take action to the death. Go ahead, Ali, just do it. Reward. The specific conspiracy of the Divine Realm against the Martial Soul Hall, with 5 advanced lottery opportunities and 50,000 points. Reminder. The system will rate the host's behavior when completing tasks. The higher the level of inappropriate behavior, the higher the score. If the score is greater than 80 points, the reward will be doubled. Destroy the Haotian Sect. Qian Daolu couldn't help but repeat softly. He is not a kind-hearted person. To be fair, Tang Hao seriously injured his son, Haotian Sect, and he would have taken action. If there were no system, he might indeed lead the Martial Soul Hall crowd to kill Haotian Sect like the original trajectory. But because of his fear of Tang Chen, he only drove Haotian Sect to his ancestral land and did not choose to exterminate him completely. Although it is said that he and Tang Chen had also made a promise to explore the mainland before. The two of them once went to see God Island together and had a fight with Poseidon, but both were defeated by Poseidon. He and Tang Chen fell in love with Poseidon at the same time, but Poseidon chose Tang Chen, who could become a god, instead of the divine servant Qian Daolu. Qian Daolu can only choose to let go of the gentleman, and it can be said that he and Tang Chen are still rivals in love. But in reality, the friendship between him and Tang Chen can only be described as mutual admiration. Speaking of depth, it's not deep either. Speaking of shallowness, it's quite shallow. One is Tang Chen, who doesn't have a deep friendship, and the other is a generous reward in the system. Isn't it clear who to choose? He was originally worried about Tang Chen's obstacles, but now Tang Chen is in the capital of slaughter, deeply trapped in the 8th exam of the Shura god, controlled by the blood-red 9-headed Bat King, and very carefree and happy. Although he had a gentleman's agreement with Tang Chen. From now on, as long as Tang Chen is still alive, the ownership of the Martial Soul Hall will never step on that mountain, which is the ancestral land of Haotian Sect and the place where Qian Daolu lost to Tang Chen in the last battle against Tang Chen. It can be said that where is the blessing left by Tang Chen to Emperor Haotian? But Haotian Sect is not in his ancestral land now. As long as the high-level combat power of the martial soul hall is fully mobilized and the now declining Haotian Sect is destroyed, it is not a problem. Although the current Haotian Sect has the title of the top sect in the world, in fact, the combat power of the Haotian Sect differs greatly from that of the martial soul hall. Haotian Sect only has 4 titles. One is the current leader of the Haotian Sect, who is Tang Hao and Tang Hao's hegemon. Tang Tian, a 96-level super doluo. The other one is Tang Xiaola, one of the Haotian twin stars, with a level 93 title of doluo. There is also one elder of Haotian Sect, with a rank of 92 and a title of doluo. Finally, there is our dear Tang Hao, known as Tang Zhutian and Tang Pao Pao. And what about this side of the martial soul hall? 7 offerings exceeding level 95, 9 elders with titles of Dolua, 5 elders with hidden titles, the Angel Legion full calculation, the martial soul hall has 21 titles. Didn't Tang Chen say that Qiandao Lu is a cowardly person? So, now that I'm tough, this consequence is definitely not what you Tang Chen wants to see. Thinking of the system reward, Qiandao Lu finally made up his mind. System, I choose to accept novice tasks. Ding, this is a wise choice. I wish the host can achieve higher results and receive double rewards. Qiandao Lu nodded slightly, his gaze calm, and he was already planning how many people would be sent to visit Haotian Sect. Thinking about it, he walked out of the Elders' Hall. It was late at night, and there was no one around the Elders' Hall, except for his personal maid Anren waiting outside the door. At the moment when Qiandao walked out of the Elders' Hall, Anren took the initiative to welcome him and followed behind him. Qiandao Lu ordered, Anren, please go and inform the other 6 worshippers to hold a meeting early tomorrow morning. Yes, Anren bowed and saluted. Although she is the personal maid of Qiandao Lu, she understands Qiandao Lu's personality and has never had any thoughts of climbing the bed. She just fulfills her duties as a maid. After speaking, she quickly left. After giving orders, Qiandao Lu walked slowly towards his mansion alone. Although tonight's experience in Dolua continent can be said to be shocking, his mood has now calmed down. Not long after. The Grand Offering Mansion. A small person stood in front of a gilded gate. This person appears to be only 1.4 meters tall, a small one, dressed in a white dress, highlighting her innocence and innocence. Golden curly hair, fair and delicate skin, rosy little face, slightly playful little nose, slightly pursed, flickering big eyes. 1 word, cute. 2 words, cute. 3 words, kawaii. This little girl is 9-year-old Zhao Qianren Shui. At this moment, she was tightly gripping the teddy bear in her hand. If she observed carefully, she could still see water vapor in her eyes, and her cute little face was filled with sadness. Suddenly, her pure, impurity-free eyes lit up. Because she saw 1,000 streams. Then she started running with her short legs, trotting all the way, and threw herself into the arms of Qiandao Lu. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. The majesty and sanctity of the martial soul hall cannot be offended. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. The majesty and sanctity of the martial soul hall cannot be offended. As she ran, Qianren Shui shouted with a hint of crying in her voice. Grandpa, woo-woo. Upon hearing the crisp cries of filial granddaughter Qianren Shui, Qiandao Lu felt her heart melting. Xiao Shui, Grandpa will always be by your side. He crouched down, caught the small Qianren Snow, raised his hand, and gently rubbed her head. Qianren Shui tightly hugged Qiandao Lu's neck, buried her face on his shoulder, and couldn't help but sob softly. Her respected and admired father Chihiro passed away yesterday, and only her father and grandfather love her in the world. Now her father has died. From now on, she will only have her grandfather know, and that woman. It's just that she never seemed to care about herself. Qiandao Lu gently patted Qianren Shui's back as a sign of comfort, without speaking, but his brain had already fallen into a storm. In Tang Xi's memory, his obedient granddaughter would be driven by the malicious woman Bibi Dong to become an undercover agent in the Tiando Empire, but the plan failed and she returned 20 years later. I originally thought that after becoming a god, I could unify the mainland, but in the divine examination, I fell in love with Tang San for no reason. In the end, the unification of the martial soul hall was stopped by Tang San, who was just and kind. Qian Dao Lu's thoughts came to the angel divine examination, and he couldn't help but sigh, feeling a killing intent towards Tang San once again in his heart. As an outsider now, he can sense a hint of something wrong. There should be something wrong with the angel divine examination. How could his granddaughter possibly like an enemy? The system promptly said, "Host, there are indeed other reasons behind this. As long as you complete the beginner guidance task 1, you will know the answer." Qian Dao Lu's gaze suddenly became sharp. Is the abnormality in the 9th exam of the granddaughter angel divine exam related to God? Which God is it? Is it the Shura God? The system briefly prompted, "No, the host, not just the Shura God, but also other gods. More than one God." The pupils of Qian Dao Flow slightly coagulate. Their martial soul hall has so many enemies in the dark, and these enemies are still gods in the divine realm. There must be a significant reason behind this. At this moment, Qian Renxue lifted her head, wiped away the tears on her face, and held back her tears. "I want to be strong, I want to be strong," she silently recited in her heart. Poor Qian Renxue was only 9 years old and had lost her father early. Since childhood, her mother did not like it. Although she had the favorable conditions of the young master of the martial soul hall, in fact, her personality was very strong and she did not develop a delicate and wild temperament like a certain little witch. "Grandpa, if Xiaoxue doesn't cry, she just can't sleep. I want to hear her grandfather tell a story." Qian Renxue blinked her watery big eyes and looked at Qian Dao Lu. Looking at his granddaughter's pretentious strong face, Qian Dao Lu suddenly felt heartbroken. He rubbed Qian Renshue's little head again and said, "Okay, okay. Then Grandpa will tell Xiaoxue a story and legend about our martial soul hall before its establishment." As he spoke, Qian Dao Lu stood up and took Qian Renshue's small hand, and the two of them walked into the mansion together. Not long after, Qian Dao Lu gently placed the sleeping Qian Renxue on his bed and skillfully covered her with a blanket. Looking at his granddaughter's delicate profile, Qian Dao Lu secretly swore in his heart. "Xiaoxue, Grandpa will never let you and the martial soul hall repeat the same mistakes again. Their enemy is just a god, and they want to fight against the gods in the divine realm. Now it seems that they have only one way: to complete system tasks and utilize the system. I hope this system really doesn't harbor any malice towards us the next day." The Council Hall of the Elders Hall. 2 enshrines the Golden Crocodile Doluo, 3 enshrines the Qingwan Doluo, 4 enshrines the Xiongshi Doluo, 5 enshrines the Guanling Doluo, 6 enshrines the Qianjun Doluo, and 7 enshrines the Demon Conquering Doluo. They sit early and wait for the arrival of the Qiandooliu. Qian Dao Lu did not make the 6 worshippers wait much, and soon arrived here. As soon as they saw 1,000 streams, the 6 worshippers stood up and bowed. Qian Dao Lu walked to the main seat and gestured for 6 people to sit down. After Qiandooliu was seated, the other 6 worshippers sat down. Qian Dao Lu didn't have any nonsense and went straight to the topic, saying, "Everyone, today's meeting topic is to discuss the overthrow of Haotian Sect. Destroy the Haotian Sect." Although the 6 worshippers were also rational and composed individuals, they were also startled by the words of Qian Dao Lu. As worshippers and high-level members of the martial soul hall, they know who caused Qinshuan's death. They knew that Qinshuan Ji was actually killed by Bibi Dong, not Tang Hao. They also understand the emotions of Qian Dao Lu. The pain of losing a son is unbearable for anyone, and it is only natural for Bibi Dong, a woman who is not easily moved, to vent her anger on Haotian Sect. After annihilating the Haotian Sect, they had no objection, but what they truly feared was Tang Chen. Golden Crocodile Dolua only listens to Qiandao Flow. Qiandao Flow asks him to go east, he will never go west, let him go north, he will never go south. He spoke up first and said, "Big brother, I'll listen to you. That Haotian Sect is arrogant and domineering, I can't stand it anymore. It's just right to annihilate it." The other 5 worshippers also nodded frequently. They had also received numerous blessings in their early years and swore allegiance to the martial soul hall and the god of angels. They will definitely support the decision of Qiandao Lu. Just Tang Chen for the sake of the overall situation, the 3 worshippers Qingwan Dolua couldn't help but speak up. "Great worshippers, we all understand your feelings, but we hope you don't be blinded by hatred. If Haotian Sect is destroyed, Tang Chen is very likely to come back. If Tang Chen comes back." Qingwan Dolua didn't continue, but the meaning was already very clear. Qiandao Lu nodded slightly and said, "I understand what you mean. Don't worry, this is the conclusion I have carefully considered. As for Tang Chen, I have received news that he is now in dire straits and will not come back." Upon hearing this, the Golden Crocodile Dolua patted the table and said, "Big brother, since that's the case, what are you waiting for? As long as the 7 of us worshippers work together, Haotian Sect can overturn our hands." He did not doubt the words of Qiandao Lu, nor would he doubt the words of Qiandao Lu. The other 5 worshippers also nodded frequently, and they also believed in the 1,000-path flow. Since there is no Tang Chen left in Haotian Sect, is that still the fish and meat on the chopping board? Are you still letting them slaughter you? Qiandao Lu nodded and said, "I have the same idea, that's why this meeting was held. I would like to request everyone to take action and go to Haotian Sect together." "Haha, big brother, we all have no objection. The 7 old bones of us have been retreating from the Soul Master realm of Dolua continent for a long time, and it's time to move." Golden Crocodile Dolua Xuanwang said. Externally speaking, the power displayed in the martial soul hall is just a few elders at the title level. The 7 worshippers have long disappeared from the front, and very few people know about them. Nevertheless, the martial soul hall remains the strongest force on the mainland. Although the martial soul hall intends to conceal 7 offerings as a hidden heritage, what is the use of keeping them hidden all the time? It's better to use it as a deterrent. That's why the Golden Crocodile Dolua agreed so readily, so there is no objection to other offerings. "Yeah, I have been retreating from the Dolua continent Soul Master realm for a long time. A young man named Tang Hao dared to challenge the authority of my martial soul hall and seriously injured the Pope of my martial soul hall. It seems that our martial soul hall needs to leak its fangs once." A cold light shone through the golden pupils of the 1,000 paths. "Let the other joking powers in Dolua continent take a good look. What, the majesty and sanctity of the martial soul hall cannot be offended." End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Haotian Zongben is not a good thing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Haotian Zongben is not a good thing, yes, said the 6 worshippers. Qiandao Lu continued, "Contact the undercover agents we have arranged in Haotian Sect. Do not release any information. We will start our operations tonight. I plan to send an angel army to raid Haotian Sect and make a quick decision. Destroy Haotian Sect in one fell swoop. As for the real culprit Bibi Dong, let's consider it after solving Haotian Sect. The next step is to prepare intensively." At this moment, the massive machine of the martial soul hall began to move, and the energy of the martial soul hall was unimaginable. As instructions were issued one by one, the martial soul hall actually completed all the preparations in the evening. The square in front of the papal hall. The pure white moonlight scattered on the earth, and under the reflection of the moonlight, the papal palace appeared even more mysterious and silent, like a dwelling place for immortals. The square is paved with special stones, all of which are precious stones of the same hardness and strength. It can be seen from this how terrifying the financial resources of the Marshall Soul Hall are. The square was not filled with people as I had imagined. It should be said that when I looked up, I could see a dense array of figures. These people all carry wings, some are eagle wings, some are wind wings, and there are pure white swan wings. Without exception, they are all flying soul masters, and they all belong to one legion. The Angel Legion. Is the Angel Legion all composed of flying soul masters, or are they all flying soul masters with strength above the Soul Emperor? Flying soul masters are already rare, and high-level flying soul masters are even more rare. Surprisingly, there are 157 flying soul masters in the Marshall Soul Hall who form the Angel Legion. This operation is mainly focused on surprise attacks, and the flying soul master is best at speed. With such a lineup and 7 offerings, how could it be impossible to defeat the Haotian Sect? Qian Dao Lu placed his hands behind his back and stood in the air, his whole body above everyone, emitting a golden light, appearing sacred and majestic. The other few offerings were suspended in mid-air, standing behind 1,000 streams, watching the scene with the same serious expression. Although their martial souls are not flying martial souls, after being banned, they can use their soul power to fly. As a super Dolua, both the total amount and quality of soul power are unparalleled, and it's not a problem to fly for as long as possible. Under the influence of soul power, the majestic voice of Qian Dao Lu echoed throughout the square. Soldiers of the Angel Legion, our target for this action is Haotian Sect. This time, we will annihilate Haotian Sect in one fell swoop. Destroy the Haotian Sect. I don't know who led the way, but members of the Angel Legion shouted one after another. The sound of mountains and tsunamis filled the entire square. Because Kiandooliu has already used the soul power barrier set up around it in advance, the sound will not be heard. After all, it is a surprise attack, and no information can be leaked before killing the Haotian Sect. Okay. Qian Daolu said lightly, let's go, our goal. Haotian Sect. Yes, as soon as the words fell, members of the Angel Legion mobilized their soul power one after another. In order not to startle the snake, they chose to fly into the sky and form a zigzag formation, flying towards the Haotian Sect. And Qian Dao Flo is at the forefront of the herringbone formation, while the other 6 worshippers are also hiding their bodies and walking on the ground at a strong speed. A few days later on a night, Tiando Empire, Haotian Sect. Because Haotian Sect is located in the Tiando Empire, it took some time for the Kiandooliu group to come here. Haotian Sect, Haotian City. Before his seclusion, Haotian Sect was the first sect in the world, with a well-known reputation throughout the Dolua continent. Although the Haotian Sect does not bird the Heavenly Do Empire at all, the Heavenly Do Empire still rushed to offer treasures to the Haotian Sect. The land in this batch should be given to others. So the original work only said that Emperor Haotian was once an incredibly prosperous existence. And this Haotian city is the fiefdom of Haotian Sect. Similarly, the 7 Treasures Lioli Sect also has a 7 Treasure City, and the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex Sect has a Blue Electric City. Within Haotian City, every household has locked their doors and turned off the lights to sleep, and no one dares to speak or make a sound. Because they are located in Haotian City, the headquarters of the world's first sect, Haotian Sect. Although one should be proud to be at the foot of the first sect, some people do not think so, and fear permeates their hearts. An inconspicuous house in Haotian City. A middle-aged man was nervously packing his things, and after finishing, he hugged his wife and daughter as a sign of comfort. His name is Zhang San. He was originally a commoner, but due to luck, he awakened his soul power and became a soul master. Now, he is a soul master. He has a happy and fulfilling family, a virtuous housewife, and a lovely daughter. But just before, her daughter was forced by someone. Fortunately, he arrived in time and his daughter was not hurt. Because of anger, he injured the person who wanted to take action against his daughter. In the battle, he recognized that this person was actually a direct disciple of the Haotian Sect. Suddenly, he felt like a bolt from the blue, knowing that they were finished. With the character of Haotian Sect's protector, even if the whole thing was the fault of that Haotian Sect disciple, they would be finished. As is well known, the Haotian Sect and its protectors, as evidenced by the behavioral style of the One Power clan in the original work. In the original work, because Tai Long fell in love with Xiaowu, Tang San had to duel with Tai Long and injured him. Unexpectedly, a series of troubles arose. First, Tai Long's Baba Taino came once, but after being defeated by Tang San, Tai Long's grandfather, Titan, came again. Tang Sol Dolua bullied a young generation and forced Tang San to join the Power clan. The Power clan has been so guarded, so what should Haotian Sect do to protect them? Every sect will always have some villains who harm innocent people. Is Haotian Sect a fair judge? Or short protection? Following the style of Haotian Sect's actions, it is natural to protect the shortcomings. It is only natural for the people in Haotian City to fear and hate disciples of the Haotian Sect. Moreover, during this period, Emperor Haotian was extremely busy with Tang Hao's affairs, and it was normal for him to have inadequate management of the people below. It is only natural for some sect scumbags to seize this opportunity to harm the people of Haotian City. These days, the people of Haotian City have been suffering unbearably. But what ability do they have to resist? Just hope that after those scumbags have caused harm to them, don't try to eradicate them just because of their slight dissatisfaction. The martial soul hall naturally knows the style of Haotian Sect's actions. Perhaps many people of Haotian Sect are innocent, but there are still many people who do not hesitate to die. Inside the cabin. Don't worry, as long as we escape tonight, we'll be fine. As long as we escape far away, the people of Haotian Sect won't be able to find us. Zhang San constantly comforts his wife and daughter, but he is also deceiving himself. He knows, how could he not find them with the energy of Haotian Sect? It's not them who are at fault. Is there no one in this world who can stop Haotian Sect? Is there no fairness and justice in this world? Brothers, this is it. At this moment, a loud voice came from outside the house. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. The martial soul hall is that light. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. The martial soul hall is that light. Zhang San's body suddenly stiffened, and his daughter and wife in his arms began to tremble. Dad, are we going to die, right? I'm sorry, Mom and Dad, it's my fault, it's all my fault. I shouldn't resist, his daughter Zhanghua cried. Zhang San hugged his daughter tightly and said, No. It's not your fault, it's Haotian Sect's fault. You're right, we're also right. Immediately, his eyes dimmed and he almost roared, No, it's me. I'm too weak to protect my wife and daughter. With a loud bang, the door was broken open and several disciples of Haotian Sect rushed in. Ha ha ha, I didn't expect your whole family to be here. The man in charge is Tang Chang, who forced Zhang to paint. At this moment, his head was wrapped in gauze, and blood was still oozing from the gauze. Even though he was injured, he still arrogantly looked up and down at Zhang Hua and Zhang San's wife Wang Wu, occasionally making a clicking sound. I didn't expect your daughter to be top-notch, and your daughter.in.law is also top-notch, tsk. Tang Chang said. Zhang San's face turned pale as he protected his wife and daughter behind him, while his not-too-tall body stood in front of them. Tang Chang, were you injured by this little soul lord? A man's mocking voice pierced through behind Tang Chang. Tang Chang's face suddenly turned black and he said, Ah bah. If it weren't for all the attention of the labor and capital on that little girl, as the soul lord, how could a direct disciple of the Haotian Sect be injured by a commoner? He spat on the ground and said, Mad, it's your honor for the labor and management to take notice of your daughter. Since then, I have been a good eater and drinker. What's wrong with me? You dare to hurt me, brothers. Let's teach them a lesson together. As soon as he finished speaking, he and his friends gathered around, all of them greedily looking at Zhang Hua and Wang Wu. Your name is Zhang San, right? Don't worry, your wife, I raise you. And you, challenging the authority of our Haotian sect, can go to die. Tang Chong laughed recklessly. Even with extreme fear in his heart, trembling all over, Zhang San remained firmly in front of his wife and daughter. Zhang San didn't know what he could say, everything he said was a dead word. In the end, he gritted his teeth and said, You must die so hard. Ha ha ha. We are a direct descendant of the Haotian sect. If you go to hell, we won't go to hell. Tang Chong said arrogantly. Is it true that no one can stop Haotian sect? It's not them who were wrong. Zhang San released his martial soul and planned to fight to the death. Even if he died, he would bite a piece of flesh off Tang Chong's body. A black light had already appeared in the hands of Tang Chong and his group of fox friends, and the Haotian hammer followed suit. Suddenly, the entire space was filled with a heavy atmosphere. Die. Tang Chong lifted his daily heavenly hammer, and the first soul ring lit up. The first soul skill was activated, and the Haotian hammer hit Zhang San with a howling wind direction. At the same time, the remaining disciples of Haotian sect also moved, and several Haotian hammers emitted a heavy aura while attacking Zhang San. At this moment, wait. A voice came from outside the door, and a man in white appeared at the door. His name is Feng Zheng, and he is an ordinary member of the Angel Legion, with strength reaching the level of Soul Emperor. Who dares to disturb the affairs of our direct disciples of Haotian sect? Tang Chong impatiently turned his head, still cursing. Tang Chong looked up and down at Feng Zheng, who looked like a soul master. He was quite young, and his soul power was probably not high, so it would be easy to handle. His eyebrows slightly raised and he said, Who are you? Name yourself. Otherwise, don't blame my grandfather for not having eyes on my hammer. The wind is right. Feng Zheng hugged his chest with both hands and said, I have long heard that disciples of Haotian sect are unreasonable. Today, it can be said that it has opened my eyes. How dare you openly break into the homes of ordinary people and arrest them? The disciples of Haotian sect glanced at each other and immediately laughed, ha ha ha. Tang Chong lifted his small hammer and pointed at Feng Zheng, saying, Kid, this is the fiefdom of our Haotian sect. If our Haotian sect's direct lineage wants to do anything, why do we need you to manage so much? A disciple of the Haotian sect said, We are the final say of the Haotian city. What kind of green onion are you? Do you dare to interfere with us? Zhang San gritted his teeth and said, Brother Feng Zheng, it's not easy to provoke direct disciples of Haotian sect. Please leave here quickly. Before Feng could answer, Tang Chong laughed and said, Kid, do you think you can leave? If you kneel down and kowtow 3 times to each of our brothers, maybe we can still let you go. Feng Zheng was speechless and helplessly raised his forehead, saying, Have you, Haotian sect, become accustomed to arrogance, thinking that the world belongs to you? Tang Chong's face was full of pride as he said, Our Haotian sect is the first sect in the world. Even the people from the martial soul hall must respect us respectfully. Feng Zheng's face changed slightly, and Tang Chong's words undoubtedly touched his minefield. The people of the martial soul hall must admit it when they see you, right? Feng Zheng lifted his arms, and a pair of blue wind wings appeared behind him. 6 soul rings, yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, and black, slowly rose from his feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. 6. Tang Chong raised his hand and couldn't help but count the number of Feng Zheng's soul rings, 6 rings. Soul Emperor. The other party is the Soul Emperor. A layer of cold sweat appeared on Tang Chong's forehead. Feng Zheng sneered and said, That's right, I am an ordinary soul emperor in the martial soul hall. Didn't you say that the people in the martial soul hall have to be respectful when they see you? So what do you think now? The other party is actually from the martial soul hall. But they're not bad either. They are the first sect in the world, the direct lineage of Haotian Sect. Tang Chong immediately straightened his waist and said, so what? We are the direct lineage of the Haotian Sect. The first direct lineage of the sect in the world. Feng Jing couldn't help but laugh and said, the first sect in the world. It's not certain whether your Haotian Sect can exist after tonight. What do you mean? Tang Chong was stunned. Literal meaning. Speaking, Feng Jing mobilized his soul power, and the soul power of the Soul Emperor level overwhelmed the group of Haotian Sect disciples. These disciples of Haotian Sect were originally uneducated and inexperienced, and were firmly nailed to the ground by this massive soul power. Feng Jing waved his hand and a strong gust of wind blew past, knocking these Haotian Sect disciples out and causing them to stumble. Take a good look, what exactly is your Haotian Sect like now? Feng Jing followed suit and said lightly. Zhang San also cautiously followed Feng Jing and walked out, looking up in the direction of Haotian Sect. That is the highest and most central position in the entire city, even within his home. Just now Zhang San's body began to tremble, and a crazy smile emanated from his throat. A fiery red light shone through his pupils. Because he saw that Haotian Sect caught fire. Even mournful screams can be heard. Tang Chong fell to the ground in fear and said, how could it be? Our Haotian Sect. What exactly is going on? Feng Jing said lightly, because of our martial soul hall. We are coming to destroy you scumbags. Turning his head, Feng said directly to Zhang San, didn't he want to take action against you? Give you a chance and kill them. Zhang San was slightly taken aback, and after realizing it, his eyes showed a strong sense of gratitude. Thank you very much, sir. Zhang San knelt down directly to thank him. After getting up, Zhang San's gaze towards Tang Chong showed a hint of bloodthirsty desire. Tang Chong shook his head repeatedly, but his words remained so arrogant. No, you can't treat me like this. I am a direct descendant of Haotian Sect. Zhang San did not stop approaching. Joke, even the Haotian Sect is about to disappear. Your identity as a direct descendant of the Haotian Sect is just a piece of shit. Seeing Zhang San's eyes red and getting closer to him, Tang Chong wanted to run, but found himself firmly nailed to the ground by the pressure of Feng Jing. He changed his mind and said, don't come over, I forgive your disrespect towards me. Please let me go, please let me go. Zhang San smiled and said, let you go. If I let you go, will you let us go? Will you let my daughter go? You scumbags. You don't deserve to live in this world. As he spoke, he summoned his martial soul, concentrated his soul power on his fist, and punched Tang Chong one by one. Only with punches and punches can he vent his anger and unwillingness in his heart. For a moment, blood splattered everywhere and screams of agony erupted. Tang Chong and his brothers were beaten to death alive. There was no mercy in Feng Jing's gaze. He felt like he had wasted a bit of time here and saw that Tang Chong and his companions had already died. He immediately flew away from here, leaving no clouds behind. Seeing Feng Jing leaving, Zhang San knelt down again with his wife and daughter in the direction of Feng Jing, kowtowing and thanking him. Until Feng Jing's figure was nowhere to be seen, Zhang San turned around and said to his daughter Zhang Hua, remember that the martial soul hall is our benefactor, and Lord Feng Jing is our family's benefactor. Zhang Hua nodded heavily. From then on, the martial soul hall became the light in their hearts. Moreover, this has become a light in the hearts of almost everyone in Haotian City. Later, when they found out that it was the people of the martial soul hall who destroyed the Haotian Sect, they became the most steadfast supporters of the martial soul hall. But Feng Jing didn't realize that his small action saved a family, one person's life, and the lives of two women. He is just an ordinary member of the Angel Legion, and his task is to guard the main road of Haotian City and not let anyone leave the city. It was just a coincidence that those disciples of the Haotian Sect were too unlucky and arrogant, and he sensed the aura of the Haotian hammer, which happened to save them. At this moment, the Haotian Sect in the center of Haotian City. Tonight is destined to be a sleepless night for Haotian Sect, and they only have one night to live under the sudden attack of the Angel Legion. This place can be described as a scene of human purgatory, with flames soaring and blood splattering everywhere. It is not an exaggeration to say that one is in hell. Of course, this is only for the disciples of Haotian Sect. Haotian Sect Central Square, this is the highest point of Haotian Sect. In the center of the square stands a statue, which is the martial soul of their Zhutian sect. Zhutian hammer. The statue is entirely made of black gold, and it is not an exaggeration to describe it as exquisite craftsmanship, but the mottled blood on it disrupts this beauty. Before the statue, there were still a few people standing. These people are all dressed in black, with a strong physique, and at first glance they know they are powerful soul masters. At this moment, they all had angry expressions on their faces, staring angrily at a figure in mid-air. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Has come to destroy you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 has come to destroy you. At the forefront of this group stood the tallest man, who, although tall, did not appear bulky, but rather gave a strong sense of oppression. He is the current leader of the Haotian Sect, who is also the hegemon of Tang Zhutian. Tang Tian. There are two people standing behind him. One is his eldest son, Tang Hao, who is Tang Zhutian's Geizhai. The other is the elder of Haotian Sect, and another title of Haotian Sect is Doluo. Chen. Looking around, looking at the scene resembling a human purgatory, one after another disciples of the Haotian Sect collapsed, and the elder Chen couldn't bear it anymore. Due to his impatience, he ignored the enemy's seemingly formidable strength. Qi sank into the dantian, and Tang Tian roared angrily, "Stop it, everyone." Immediately, he looked up at the figure in mid-air and said, "Do you know this is the territory of our world's first sect, Haotian Sect? I command you to stop all your people. Otherwise, the consequences are not something you can bear." Xian Daolu stood with his hands down and said calmly, "The first sect in the world. After tonight, Haotian Sect will completely disappear. Just rely on you." Chen is used to being arrogant and doesn't believe in the words of Xian Daolu at all. "Rebel. Just let me come and meet you." After a loud shout, Chen activated the martial soul Haotian hammer. As a title holder, his Haotian hammer naturally weighed a lot, and with a click, the ground beneath his feet sank. With a strong stomp at his feet, he swung the Haotian hammer, exuding an aura of destroying the sky and earth, rushing towards the thousand streams. The speed was so fast that Tang Tian couldn't stop it in time. Although Chen couldn't see it, Tang Tian keenly realized that this person in mid-air was definitely not simple. How can the glow of fireflies compete with the sun? Xian Daolu calmly uttered this sentence. He didn't use any soul skills like Hua Li Hu, he just gently raised his right arm, pointed lightly, and the target was Chen, who flew into mid-air. "Get down." In the next moment, his soul power finally appeared to fluctuate around him, with a soul power pressure of up to 99 levels condensed into a substantial attack, sweeping towards Chen. That powerful pressure lifted everyone's heart. An irresistible pressure came from above, like a big hammer that struck him hard on the head. Ah! Chen fell in response. After drawing a silhouette in the sky, with a loud bang, he landed firmly on the ground with his face. The ground made of marble has been smashed into a deep humanoid hole. "Elder! Are you okay?" Tang Tian quickly approached the entrance of the cave and shouted. "I didn't. I'm fine." Chen looked up and felt his head dizzy. As soon as he touched his nose, his handsome hooked nose was crooked. He opened his mouth and his 4 front teeth fell to the ground. People naturally have to slowly torture themselves, they cannot be killed at once. It's not appropriate to give up and take their lives. Tang Tian finally breathed a sigh of relief, and he already had some speculations about the person who came. Standing up, Tang Tian stared straight at the figure in mid-air and said, "Who the hell are you? Why did you come to our Haotian sect?" Xian Daolu raised his arms and with a swoop, 6 golden 6 wings appeared behind him. From his feet, black, 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 red. 9 soul rings slowly floated beside him. Centered around him, a bright and sacred aura emanated, instantly covering thousands of square meters around him. He is like a golden sun, almost reflecting the night into the day. What frightened the disciples of Haotian Sect even more was that their soul power was melting away. 9 rings. This is the realm of angels. This person is 1,000 streams. The great worship of the martial soul hall, nicknamed the invincible 1,000 paths of the sky. Tang Tian finally became convinced of his own conjecture, and his face turned pale as death. In mid-air, at the center of the golden light, Qian Daolu said faintly, "This is the grand offering of the martial soul hall." Qian Daolu. Under the influence of soul power, the words of Qian Daolu spread throughout the entire Haotian sect. Tang Tian quickly sorted out his emotions and his brain was running rapidly. Qian Dao Flow, that's Qian Dao Flow. Their Haotian sect couldn't beat anyone, so he had a very sincere intention to talk to Qian Daolu. Looking up, he stared straight at Qian Daolu and said, "Senior, what is the purpose of your martial soul hall coming here?" In mid-air, Qian Dao Flow carried golden 6 wings, which flapped slightly, causing it to hover in mid-air. At this moment, except for the golden crocodile Dolua, the other 5 worshippers are not here, but have gone to the location of the affiliated sect of Haotian Sect, such as the strongest subordinate of Haotian Sect. The single attribute for sect. The direct lineage of Haotian Sect is located at the center of Haotian Sect, while the collateral lineage is surrounded by the outer circle of the direct lineage. The purpose of this arrangement is obvious. If there is a crisis in the sect, the first ones to be affected are the collateral disciples, and the direct disciples have more time to escape. Isn't that what Haotian Sect did in the original work? However, the collateral disciple Qian Daolu planned to focus on subduing, but the direct lineage of Haotian Sect would all have to die. At this moment, the golden crocodile Dolua is suspended behind Qian Daolu, and has also opened up the pressure of its own super Dolua. The momentum released by the joint release of 2 tidal Dolua players who have surpassed level 97 is absolutely unimaginable and hard to see for ordinary people. Now, Emperor Haotian is very, very lucky to have met him. With a gentle wave of his hand, the members of the Angel Legion received instructions before stopping the killing. It is better for those who are not suitable for others, and those who kill and punish their hearts are better. So, let Qian Daolu play with him. When it comes to how to kill and punish the heart, 1,000 knowledgeable people naturally know how to operate. Under the pressure of the martial soul hall and the threat of death, human nature will naturally be exposed. He wants to see how the proud disciples of Haotian Sect will react. Unconsciously, Qian Daolu broke through his moral bottom line and planned to play with human nature. Perhaps I really shouldn't be a gentleman. Qian Daolu smiled somewhat self-deprecatingly. Also, in order to reward the system, I broke through my moral bottom line. What kind of gentleman am I? It's just that the temptation isn't strong enough, but he didn't want Xiaoxue to repeat the same mistake, he didn't want his painstaking efforts to destroy the martial soul hall. Combined with the system's incentives, isn't it natural for his mindset to change? Isn't this also human nature? He admitted that his actions were not the actions of a gentleman, and he would not deny that his destruction of the Haotian Sect today was purely out of personal gain. He still has this moral bottom line and won't shirk it like someone who is pure and pure. To be honest, he doesn't want to be a gentleman anymore. Being a gentleman is too tiring. 1,000 streams drive away the distractions in my heart and look down. After the raid on the Martial Soul Hall just now, Haotian Sect did not react at all. The weaker disciples of Haotian Sect mostly died in this round of raid. The reason why it went so smoothly is that the Martial Soul Hall acted quickly, and another reason is that Haotian Sect was too proud. As the #1 sect in the world and having held high positions for a long time, they inevitably developed a proud temperament, not considering anyone and believing that no one could or dared to cause trouble in the Haotian Sect. But today, they will pay the price for their arrogance. Chen Daolu looked down at Tang Tian from a high position and closed his eyes slightly. Tang Tian, the leader of Haotian Sect, isn't our purpose here already very clear? Kill you all. Kill us. This terrifying thought surged into Tang Tian's heart, causing a layer of cold sweat to burst out on his forehead. The cold wind blew, and Tang Tian's hair stood on end. Unconsciously, a sense of fear surged in his heart. As one of the three peerless beings, Qian Dao Lu will not shoot indiscriminately. They can only come here today because of Tang Hao. As soon as he thought about how easy he was to smash, he felt a bit sore. Not long ago, he received news that Pope Qianshuan of the Martial Soul Hall was seriously injured by Tang Hao and passed away. After learning this news, he almost didn't mention it in a breath and was extremely angry with his own son. My youngest son Tang Zhutian is one of the twin stars of Haotian, with a strong talent. In the future, he may inherit the legacy of his ancestor Tang Chen, become the backbone of Haotian's future, or even become the limit. But who do you like, Tang Hao? It's just that you like a grass or a soul beast that has been transformed for 100,000 years. You don't know how rare a soul beast is for 100,000 years. If you don't kill it, take the ring and bones, and instead have children with it, you don't know what kind of half-human, half-demon monster it should be. Although it was Chihiro's illness and he didn't die directly at the hands of his son, it was almost the same. Immediately after, he realized that the Martial Soul Hall would definitely come back to cause trouble, so he ordered to quickly pack up and prepare to run away. Transfer the direct disciples of Haotian Sect to the ancestral land where they haven't set foot for many years, which is the blessing left by their old ancestor Tang Chen to them by Haotian Sect. As for their affiliated sect, time is tight, let's forget it. But is it their movements are too slow? No, it should be said that the movements of the Martial Soul Hall are too fast. The Martial Soul Hall dispatched troops and generals the day after Qianshuan's death from illness, and rushed to Haotian Sect with all its might that night. Although some time was wasted on the road, the scouts of Haotian Sect passed on the news of Qianshuan's serious injury and death, and the people from the Martial Soul Hall followed closely behind. It's not an exaggeration to describe it with just one coincidental sentence. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. My dad is Tang Chen. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. My dad is Tang Chen. But the people of Haotian Sect don't want to happen so coincidentally. There's no way, the situation is stronger than people. The Martial Soul Hall is coming with a fierce force, maybe it's going to destroy them. When it's time to admit guilt, you have to admit guilt. Tang Tian gritted his teeth and his tone involuntarily softened a bit. Senior, dare you ask what extraordinary thing our Haotian Sect has done? We need you to come personally. Xian Daolu didn't even glance at him and said calmly, we naturally came here today for a reason. Your direct disciple of Haotian Sect, Tang Hao, seriously injured our Martial Soul Hall Pope Qian Sun's illness for a soul beast, resulting in the death of our Martial Soul Hall Pope. At the end, a wave of anger couldn't help but emerge in Qian Dao Lu's heart, and his gaze suddenly became sharp. Qianshuan Ji is his only son. He just died like this. Now he needs a place to vent his anger, and Haotian Sect is a very good place. Under the influence of soul power, the sound of 1,000 streams spread throughout the entire Haotian Sect, even the Haotian city. The people of Haotian City lit lamps and perked up their ears, listening carefully. They have a premonition that a big mountain weighing down on their heads may be cleared today. After listening to Chen Daoliu's words, the disciples of Haotian Sect suddenly became uproar and began to discuss, with different opinions. Tang Hao, it's because of Tang Hao again. He killed the Pope of the Martial Soul Hall. Why didn't he die, said Disciple A of Haotian Sect. How could you say that? Tang Hao is my hope for the future of Haotian Sect, said Disciple B of Haotian Sect. It is obvious that he is a supporter of Tang Hao. My son just died, at the hands of the Martial Soul Hall. If it weren't for Tang Hao, the people of the Martial Soul Hall would have come to kill him. It's all because of Tang Hao. Haotian Sect Disciple A shouted in a collapsed voice. The bullying and fear of heart are fully reflected in him at this moment. He dare not blame the Martial Soul Hall, but only dare to vent his anger on Tang Hao. The Pope of the Martial Soul Hall was not killed by Tang Hao himself. He just seriously injured the Pope of the Martial Soul Hall. How can we be blamed? This is unfair. Yeah, we need to find Tang Hao. What's our business? No, Chen Daolu is lying. How could the Pope of the Hall of Martial Souls die so easily? It has to be said that there are still intelligent people in Haotian Sect. However, Dolua continent is a world of the fittest, with 1,000 streams of strength. Whatever he says is what he says. I can't tolerate your refutation. Listening to the discussions of Haotian Sect disciples around him, Tang Tian felt his heart cool. Did some of the disciples of Haotian Sect start to hate their own sons just because of the surprise attack on the Martial Soul Hall today? Under the pressure of the Martial Soul Hall, the weaknesses of human nature are revealed at this moment. After experiencing this battle, Haotian Sect has not been destroyed, and people's hearts have also dispersed. Chen Daolu glanced at them slightly and then said slowly, as a father, my son died because of Tang Hao. It is only natural for him to seek revenge for his son. As the grand offering of the Martial Soul Hall, Tang Hao's move is a challenge to the dignity of my Martial Soul Hall. The dignity of the Martial Soul Hall is inviolable. In terms of emotion and reason, Haotian Sect must pay a price for it. After speaking, Chen Daolu raised his hand in order to continue killing. The members of the Angel Legion, who received orders, once again took out weapons such as daggers and lightsabers, used soul skills, and once again killed the disciples of the Haotian Sect. Brilliant special effects are released, and human purgatory is once again performed. Upon seeing this, Tang Tianmu's canthus was completely cracked. But he can't take action yet, he must remain calm. Once they award Dolua level characters to join the battle, it means that the battle officially begins, and Chen Daolu and the Golden Crocodile Dolua will also join the battlefield. So the battle is definitely a victory for the Martial Soul Palace with an overwhelming advantage. Immediately, he thought of his father Tang Chen, who was beyond 1,000 streams and was known as the invincible on land, extreme Dolua. Tang Chen's strength is even better than that of Chen Daolu. 1,000 streams of iron will surely fear Tang Chen. Once I sacrifice my father Tang Chen, will your 1,000 streams still stop? Just. Is his bully Tang Chen still alive? Anyway, let a dead horse be a living horse, doctor. Wait. Stop it all for me. Tang Tian let out a loud shout, with a hint of confidence in his voice. Senior, don't forget that my father is Tang Chen. If you start a killing spree in our Haotian Sect today, tomorrow, our Haotian Sect ancestors will come to your Martial Soul Hall and destroy your Martial Soul Hall. Ha ha ha. When the Golden Crocodile Deluodan laughed, Tang Chen. You still expect him to come and save you, he's already in danger. The Golden Crocodile Dolua will not doubt the words of Qiandaoliu, and Qiandaoliu will not shoot indiscriminately. If Qiandaoliu says that Tang Chen is unable to protect himself, then he is unable to protect himself. The disciples of Haotian Sect are once again in a state of uproar. Is their ancestor Tang Chen in danger of not coming back? This news undoubtedly gave them a fatal cause. This is impossible. Some disciples of Haotian Sect with poor psychological resilience collapsed and shouted out. Now Tang Chen can be said to be their only life-saving straw. How could Tang Chen not come back? Tang Tian was also shocked and spoke recklessly, "Do you know where my father is? Where exactly is my father now?" According to the meaning of the Golden Crocodile Dolua dialect, they seem to know Tang Chen's whereabouts. Golden Crocodile Dolua hugged his chest with both hands and said calmly, "Why should I tell you?" Moreover, Qiandao Lu didn't tell him, and he didn't know either. Tang Tian suddenly choked. Yes, the martial soul hall was here to cause trouble and to kill them. According to his intentions, his bully Tang Chen seems to be in a dangerous place, unable to protect himself and unable to return. Although I don't know if what they said is true, the martial soul hall no longer accepts its own threat. Without Tang Chen as a threat, it can be said that he has no bargaining power now. Looking at the surroundings, one Haotian Sect disciple after another fell, and the lives of future Haotian Sect flowers came to an end at this moment. His brain spun rapidly, hoping to come up with a good solution, even if it was just to save a portion of the Haotian Sect. As long as a portion of the spark is preserved, one day the descendants of Haotian Sect will destroy the martial soul hall. It depends on the situation. The people from the martial soul hall came with great force. Not only did they send out the Angel Legion, but the 7 worshippers led by Qiandao Lu also came in person. More than 100 flying soul masters, 7 super Dolua with strength exceeding level 95, one of whom is still level 99 extreme Dolua. How can we fight this? Their Haotian Sect will only have one path to destruction. And all of this is because of his good son Tang Zhutian. Suddenly, a spiritual light flashed in his mind, and in the next moment, he became somewhat decadent. That's right, their Haotian Sect is arrogant and domineering, with a lofty vision and a disregard for everything. The actions of the martial soul hall today should be resisted to the end according to their Haotian Sect's personality. But he is the leader of Haotian Sect. He must think about the future of Haotian Sect. If Haotian Sect is destroyed today, then there will be nothing left. So, Tang Hao, my good son, for the sake of Haotian Sect, Ba can only apologize to you. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Tang Hao has been expelled from our Haotian Sect. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Tang Hao has been expelled from our Haotian Sect. Tang Tian's face became visibly sorrowful as he said, "Senior, please be aware that our Haotian Sect does not have Tang Hao as a person. Tang Hao has been expelled from our Haotian Sect since he colluded with the Soul Beast for 100,000 years. Tang Hao has no relationship with our Haotian Sect." Tang Tian thought this way for the sake of the overall situation, but Tang Zhao's experience was not as high as his, and he did not immediately think of this level. He can't watch his good brother get expelled. They are proud of Haotian Sect. Although his younger brother was indeed wrong, he did not directly kill Qinshu and Ji. He was only seriously injured. Moreover, even if Tang Hao was expelled, would the martial soul hall spare them? He said sorrowfully, Ba, it's not Haoti's fault. Can't you see the attitude of the martial soul hall? He won't let us go. Our Haotian Sect only stands to die, not kneels to live. You shut up. Tang Tian, enraged from his heart, turned his head, and with a loud snap, gave Tang Xiao a big mouth. The immense strength made Tang Zhao's profile instantly swell. Ba. Is what I said wrong? Tang Xiao tilted his head and covered his face. After finishing the fight, Tang Tiankai realized what he had done and a touch of heartache appeared in his eyes. But now is not the time to say these things. He could only go against his original intention and say, this was originally Tang Hao's fault. If he hadn't fallen in love with a soul beast, our Haotian Sect would have faced this situation. It was all the fault of that soul beast. Tang Xiaodun was already unhappy. As a licking dog, he was so angry that he spoke without hesitation, don't say that to Ah Yin. You. Tang Tian covered his heart and almost died here without taking a breath. He even felt that it was good to die here directly. Are you still thinking about your Ayin at this time? Tang Hao only realized what he had said and felt guilty in his heart, but he still felt that he was right. Watching the annual family drama below, Qian Dao Lu gave a cold smile. He didn't have the interest to play with them slowly here. He said calmly, "Oh, really? Tang Hao is no longer a member of your Haotian sect." Upon hearing this, Tang Tian quickly turned his head and accompanied his smiling face, saying, "That's right, senior. Tang Hao has long been expelled from our Haotian sect. Tang Hao has nothing to do with our Haotian sect. Yes, Tang Hao has nothing to do with us." Some disciples of Haotian sect saw hope and couldn't help but shout. "That's right, who is Tang Hao?" "I don't know him," said another disciple of the Haotian sect. Listening to the words of the disciples of Haotian sect, Tang Tian was very eager to refute them, and he really wanted to angrily reprimand them now. But he can't. For the sake of the overall situation, he could only personally pour dirty water on his son. As both fathers, when their son is in trouble, Qian Dao Lu seeks revenge for his son, while Tang Tian falls into trouble. Comparing the two, one can see from high to low. This is the land of Dolua where the law of the jungle prevails. Qian Dao Lu remained indifferent and said, "Empty words without evidence. As far as I know, your Haotian sect has not made any statement before, expelling Tang Hao from Haotian sect. There is no father who doesn't care about his own son. I can kill Haotian sect for my son, and how could Tang Tian possibly sell his own son?" Qian Daoliu's words were full of mockery, and he himself didn't even know he had a natural talent for sharp tongues. Upon hearing this, Tang Tian was instantly stunned. Does he want to sell his son? If it weren't for being forced into helplessness, how could he have taken such a bad move? Qian Daolu then said faintly, "So, I have every reason to suspect that you have hidden Tang Hao. In other words, Tang Hao is now in the Haotian sect. Even if he is not in the Haotian sect, you should know Tang Hao's whereabouts." After speaking, Qian Daolu ordered, "Soldiers of the Angel Legion, kill and find Tang Hao." Yes, the feast of slaughter continues. The bright red blood stimulates the sensitive nerves of everyone present. Blood makes the fearful even more fearful, and makes the wavering heart tremble. Finally, some disciples of Haotian sect couldn't bear it anymore and turned their spears towards Tang Tian. "Master, hand over Tang Hao, we don't want to die." A disciple of Haotian sect stumbled over and knelt down in front of Tang Tian. Tang Tiantian's face turned red. He also wants to know where Tang Hao is, but the problem is, he doesn't know. One person started, and more people let go of their guard and began to persuade. "Yeah, my lord, as long as we hand over Tang Hao, we can all live. Please hand over Tang Hao, my lord." Requesting the patriarch to hand over Tang Hao. Everyone couldn't say this without agreement, everyone hoped Tang Tian would hand over his own son. In order to survive, they didn't even think from Tang Tian's perspective, how heartbreaking and mocking it would be for a father to hand over his own son. But after all, one's own life is the most important, what are others? Tang Tian looked around, feeling somewhat bewildered. Are they forcing the palace? Since Tang Tian became the leader of the Haotian sect, he has been enduring countless nights and worrying about how many white hair he has lost for the sake of the Haotian sect. There must be hard work without merit. Their behavior today is really chilling. He trembled and said, "You." I opened my mouth, but couldn't say a complete sentence. The whole person seems to have lost the will to live. In a moment of crisis, under the pressure of death, the disciples of Haotian sect were inconsistent and turned around to force their sect leader. Immediately, he looked at Qian Daolu in mid-air, with a hint of firmness in his eyes. "Senior, I swear to heaven that I really don't know Tang Hao's whereabouts. If it's false, Tang Tian won't die easily. Making such a poisonous oath would make anyone believe it." Xian Daolu sneered and said, "Swear to heaven. Speaking of it, anyone can do it. If a son doesn't teach his father, Tang Hao won't be able to find him. You who taught Tang Hao, and the Haotian Sect must pay the price for it. We will use your blood to pay tribute to the dead of the sick child. A son who does not teach, a father's fault." Some disciples of the Haotian Sect, whose heads were spinning fast, suddenly understood. The anger of Qian Daolu will not be easily quelled. Haotian Sect has already died so many people. If Tang Tian dies again, Qian Daolu's anger may be able to be quelled. In order to survive, someone shouted out, "If my son doesn't teach, it's my father's fault. Teaching Tang Hao is your fault. As long as you pay for Tang Hao's life for the Pope, can we survive?" Upon hearing this, Qian Daolu was slightly surprised, obviously not expecting that the disciples of Haotian Sect would say so. He, who was not a person, began to guide. In this way, it can also be a good method. Upon hearing this, the disciples of Haotian Sect seemed to have grabbed the life-saving straw and urged, "Master, please, pay for your son's life. Master, as long as you die, we can live. Please pay for the Pope's coronation. Please pay for the Pope's coronation. You. Tang Tian pointed at these disciples of the Haotian Sect, so surprised that he couldn't say a word. These words are undoubtedly the last straw that overwhelms the camel. Suddenly, his head drooped, and his gaze had already shown a determination to die. Tang Tian slowly closed his eyes and said, "The son did not teach his father's fault. It was my father's fault to teach Tang Hao this evil. I will repay the evil created by Tang Hao." As he spoke, he raised his hand, his soul power condensed, and he was about to use his halberd. In the midst of lightning and flint, no one reacted. After they realized what had happened, Tang Tian's hands had already patted his chest. Subsequently, blood spurted out, and he had already cut off his heart pulse. "Ba ba!" Tang Shao exclaimed in surprise and immediately reached out to embrace Tang Tian. "Master!" The elder Tongshen beside him showed shock on his face. Poor, pitiful in mid-air, Qian Daolu shook his head. After living for so long, he deeply understood the selfishness of human nature. "May I ask, would disciples of Haotian Sect really appreciate you?" End of this chapter. Chapter 10. As a gentleman, how can you not let us go? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. As a gentleman, how can you not let us go? Below, Tang Shao held his bully Tang Tian and cried out, "Bully." Tang Tian raised his hand trembling and began to explain his future affairs. "Tang Shao, from now on, you will be the leader of the Haotian Sect, leading the disciples of the Haotian Sect to live." Immediately after, he was able to swallow his breath smoothly. The first-generation leader of Haotian Sect, Tang Tian, is dead. "Ba ba, my ba ba was forced to death by you, it was forced to death by you." Tang Shao hugged his own father's body and said slowly, his voice filled with hatred. How could Tang Shao not understand? Otherwise, those disciples of Haotian Sect would bully the weak and fear the hard, turn their spears around, and demand that Tang Tian hand over Tang Hao. How could Tang Tian choose to use his own halberd? All of this is your fault. Upon hearing this, the disciples of Haotian Sect fell silent. Do they feel guilty? Not much, more is the joy of surviving the disaster. Tang Tian is dead, one life is worth one life. Qian Daolu will definitely let them go. We were originally implicated, he should have paid for his life. What's our business? Some people couldn't help but mutter softly. Someone opened their head, and then someone whispered, "This is all the trouble caused by Tang Hao." Old master, this is the big picture. Yes, the old master has already died. Your martial soul hall should let us go. Some people on the brink of collapse couldn't help but shout loudly. Upon hearing this, Tang Shao fell into an ice cellar. He looked around and saw the faces of every Haotian Sect disciple, each with the words, benevolence, righteousness, and morality written on their crooked faces. He couldn't figure it out and looked carefully for a while before finally seeing the words inside, both of which were written in 2 words. Cannibalism. Is it necessary to save this sect? Elder Tongshen couldn't bear to watch any more and roared angrily, "How could you think so? The old master died for you." The disciples of Haotian Sect are all temperamental masters, and some people immediately became dissatisfied and retorted, "The old sect leader should have paid for his life. It was he who taught Tang Hao. If it weren't for Tang Hao, how could our Haotian Sect have suffered?" You. Tongshen's face turned sour with anger. Upon seeing this, Tang Hao first smiled self-deprecatingly, and then shook his head again. No. This is his responsibility, he is the new leader of Haotian Sect, he must be saved. Thinking of this, Tang Hao put down his own father's body and stood up. Looking up, he looked at the towering Qiandaoliu, the real culprit and the mastermind behind the scenes. The current situation is all guided by Qiandaoliu. He wanted to charge up and kill the 1,000 streams. But he cannot do it, nor can he do it. Tang Zhao's hateful gaze instantly disappeared and he slowly said, "Senior, my father has already passed away. Please rest assured that Tang Hao is indeed not in our Haotian Sect. Our Haotian Sect has indeed expelled Tang Hao. Please let us innocent people have a way out." Qiandao Lu did not answer, but the great elder Tongshen exploded. Tongshen and Tang Chen are of the same generation, and Tang Tian is the child he watched grow up with. It can be said that Tang Tian is his son. Tang Tian has died, how can he not be angry? Angry in my heart, my judgment temporarily disappears. Our Haotian Sect can only stand and die, not kneel and live. As long as we go up together, we can definitely find a way to survive. Elder, stop talking. You need to think about the big picture. Tang Hao roared back. The elder was momentarily taken aback, his soaring spirit instantly extinguished, and he wilted and remained silent. Looking at this scene, Qiandao Lu did not immediately answer. Qiandao Lu asked in his heart, "System, how much can I rate my beginner task so far?" The system said, "Ding, host, detected a killing spree in Haotian Sect, with a score of +10, fully attacking Haotian Sect, with a score of +10, playing with people's hearts, causing internal strife among disciples of Haotian Sect, with a score of +10. The disciples of Haotian Sect forced Tang Tian to death, with a score of +10. Now the host score is 40, please continue to work hard. For example, let them fight each other." The system also added a small suggestion to Qiandaoliu at the end. "Do you want to keep going without human resources?" Qiandao Lu frowned slightly and couldn't help but sigh. Perhaps, if he hadn't encountered the system and the situation had progressed to this point, he might have let Haotian Sect go. But knowing the future plot and the temptation of system rewards, how could he possibly let Haotian Sect go? As the system says, the Haotian Sect and the Martial Soul Hall are destined enemies, either do not attack or die. It's impossible not to take action, then we'll have to take action. Kindness to the enemy is cruelty to oneself. Thinking of this, Qiandao Lu's gaze became firm, filled with coldness. It seems that we need to be even more aggressive. Kill each other, right? What he didn't know was that his martial soul, 6-winged angel, representing light and justice, had silently cast a shadow at this moment, as if indicating a change in his mentality. Upon seeing this, the system promptly mobilized its energy and began to stabilize his martial soul for Qiandao flow. And the prompt said, "Ding, it has been detected that the host is starting to darken, and the attributes of the host's martial soul's 6-winged angel have changed, stabilizing the host's martial soul." Qiandao Lu felt a warm current pouring into his body, warm and comfortable. Quickly, the system's prompt sounded again. "Ding, the host's martial soul has stabilized. It reminds the host that they can use the martial soul evolution card to solve the host's martial soul problem. The system can stabilize the host's martial soul for a period of time, so the host doesn't have to worry. Qian Dao Lu's heart is clear. Their lineage of martial souls and six-winged angels is somewhat unique, as their martial souls interact with people's inner selves. This is also one of the reasons why he adheres to the spirit of chivalry throughout his life. At the same time, due to the influence of his heart, his current mindset has changed, and his martial soul will naturally undergo some changes. After examining one's own body, Qian Dao Lu finally felt at ease. My body is fine, but my martial soul is shrouded in a shadow. There was a hint of helplessness in his eyes, but now is not the time to consider these. Finally, Qian Dao Lu spoke up, and all the eyes of Haotian Sect were focused on him. But what he said made everyone feel like they were falling into an ice cellar. Qian Dao Lu said, "Tang Hao, it seems that I have never said that as long as Tang Tian returns his life, he can let you go. I have never said that I want to let Haotian Sect go." Tang Shaolin was stunned, everyone was stunned. Why didn't these 1,000 streams play cards according to common sense? Shouldn't normal people just let Haotian Sect go when they see the situation progressing so far? Not to mention being a righteous gentleman with 1,000 paths to success. Tang Hao still remembers that Tang Chen once said that Qian Dao Lu was a cowardly person. To put it simply, to put it nicely, he could also be called a true gentleman. How could a true gentleman possibly exterminate them all? How can we exterminate them all? As long as their disciples of Haotian Sect survive today, tomorrow, their descendants of Haotian Sect can go and destroy the martial soul hall. End of this chapter.